If you don't like blood or gore or mature themes or naughty words or cute demon couples singing cheesy love songs, then don't watch this video. If you don't mind those things, then great, let's go. Oh, Vivzie, you're killing me here. I just watched Hazbin Hotel less than a month ago, and now you go and drop another awesome pilot on us? That's it, I'm convinced. Vivziepop has signed a contract with the devil. She's making a deal with the denizens of the underworld to create animated propaganda for hell in exchange for extremely high production values, use of famous voice actors, and unrealistically early release times.
She sold her soul so they would guide her artist's hand.
That or she's just extremely talented and hardworking with excellent preparedness and time management skills. Yeah, one or the other. Helluva Boss is another unique creation from the mind of Vivziepop, taking place in the same universe as Hazbin Hotel, but with a new cast of despicable demons. And fortunately, this pilot takes on a completely different tone from her first one. While Hazbin Hotel has a big overarching story with cinematic beats and grand visuals, Helluva Boss is just a simple workplace comedy, following the daily escapades of a group of hitman imps. Workplace comedies can be kinda tricky to get right. They're often set in small-scale locations with small-scale conflicts, like a store or an office, so you need to put heavy emphasis on things like characters and comedy to keep the audience interested. If done properly, you can end up with a hilarious masterpiece, especially with animation. Heck, I just started watching the animated Dilbert series, and it's loaded with intelligent humor and funny spins on common workplace tropes, like downsizing and sick days. This is proof that it can be done and done well. So, how does Helluva Boss measure up? Well, let's give it a shot. The pilot centers around a bunch of murderous imps who run a hitman service, offering to kill anyone on the mortal plane who falsely wronged you while you were alive. It's not as creative a premise as Hazbin Hotel, in fact it just kind of feels like villainous with manslaughter, but it manages to distinguish itself from the main series with two big factors. One is the concept of visiting the living world. Hazbin is likely going to take place entirely in Hell, seeing as Charlie's goal is to rehabilitate demons and lower Hell's population. So giving us a little spin-off where Hell's occupants get to travel to our plane of existence and mess around trying to complete a job has a ton of comedic opportunities, some of which are actually explored here. And second, it lets us see Vivzie's version of Hell through a different set of eyes. Charlie is royalty, and as such has the money, power, and influence to basically do whatever she wants. Heck, she's able to straight up refuse Alistair's deal and just order him to help her. Meanwhile, Blitz and his crew are just simple everyman demons, running a business in an oversaturated market, making them a lot more down to earth and relatable. This helps to flesh out Vivzie's universe by letting us see the day-to-day lives of normal lower-class demons, and I like that. As far as the structure of future episodes goes, it's hard to tell exactly what to expect. The story involves the four main characters just sitting in a meeting room, reminiscing on past events. Every so often, they'll cut to a flashback, which shows these events in more detail, leading to a lot of the jokes and character moments. So there isn't really a straightforward narrative, it's more like a bunch of standalone scenes pasted together. I'll admit that it can be a little confusing at times with the way these cutaways play out. Like when Moxie tries to explain how terrible Luna is as a worker, we get a flashback showing all the time she was obnoxious, lazy, and just generally bad at her job. Alright, so far so good, but then in the middle of one of these scenes, we get another cutaway to show how Blitz got the book which can take him to the mortal realm, and then it cuts back to the meeting room. So was that a flashback within a flashback? I don't really get it. And earlier, there's a scene where we hear the jingle Blitz wrote for the company, and it's played like a commercial for their services. But then they accidentally shoot a kid, and we get a whole scene showing the hospital staff trying to revive him, but when the trio has no insurance, they bail, and then it shows their company logo at the end. So was that bit with the kid part of the commercial? Why would you want a scene of you screwing up at your job in an ad for your business? It's honestly very hard to follow what's going on half the time. But one thing Helluva Boss has in its favor is that the character cast is able to carry a lot of these scenes, regardless of how haphazardly pieced together they are. The titular boss himself, Blitz, is a washed-up imp whose theater dreams didn't pan out, so now he's forced to run a murder business and do very demeaning things in order to get a leg up. He's a funny mix of vain, creepy, and over the top, and it's clear that even with his crushed dreams, he's pretty comfortable in his life with his new work family. Maybe a little too comfortable. Plus his quirks like praising his commercials and jingles as high art is pretty hilarious. Moxie is the straight man of the company who has the most logical outlook on the business, but is constantly blamed for everything. Seeing his anger flare up and his personal bubble constantly get invaded is just comedy gold. And the interactions he has with his wife Millie, who's very protective and supportive of him, are just genuinely adorable. There you go, Hazbin fans, we've got an adorable gay couple and an adorable straight couple in this universe. Hell is all inclusive. That's a thing I never thought I'd say. Then there's Luna, who's probably my least favorite of the bunch. She's the typical whatever kind of girl with 0 Fs to give who does anything she wants. She takes other people's lunch, hangs up on important calls, and just goofs around on her phone during business meetings. And she's able to get away with all this since she's apparently Blitz's adoptive daughter, so she ain't getting fired. She's fine for what she is, and her interactions with Daddy Dearest range from adorable to comical, but compared to the other cooks in the kitchen, there's not a lot about her I like. I'm sure she'll make a lot of goth furries happy though. The comedy is definitely hit and miss for me. There were plenty of jokes that either go on for too long or go so far with the vulgarness that they end up being more annoying than funny. The scene with the swearing little kid and Blitz calling an old friend are good examples of this. But there still are plenty of jokes that get constant laughs out of me, mostly due to the excellent animation and voice work. I've already talked about how awesome Vivzie's art style is in my other video about her, and the same remains true here. Sure, you get a few weird moments like this one over here. Slide to the left. Slide to the right. But as a whole, it's just as expressive and vibrant as it always is. And holy cow, the voice work is so good it actually elevates the comedy of scenes that I didn't really find that funny. I mean, come on, it's physically impossible to have the voice of Invader Zim on your team and not come out with something hilarious. I guarantee this guy could say any combination of words in the English dictionary in his Zim voice, and I would bust a gut with laughter. Overall, decent comedy boosted by great visual expression and voice work. The only big problem I have with Helluva Boss, aside from the cut and paste storytelling, is all the expository dialogue. Expository dialogue can be done well if framed properly. Wreck-It Ralph actually has one of my favorite exposition dumps of all time, presented as Ralph casually introducing himself to all the other villains for the first time. Even Vaggy's dump about Alistair in Hazbin Hotel was fine because it had great stylized animation and was being told to a character who had never heard of this guy before. But in this show, the many expositional speeches and beats really feel forced and awkward. I get that this is the pilot and you gotta introduce everything important, but this just doesn't do it for me. Like at the beginning when they're discussing ideas to improve the business, and Blitz says, "Have you guys forgotten what service we provide?" and then shows a TV ad for their company. Alright, a little sloppy, but fair enough. But then Moxie goes into this long drawn-out speech about why the commercial failed, and then we get another long drawn-out speech about Blitz's artistic dreams and how his daddy didn't believe in him. And the sad part is that the second piece of exposition was actually handled a lot better with the subtle background addition. See this poster in the background? Not only do they appear in multiple different rooms in the office building, but it tells us without words that Blitz used to have his own big top circus once upon a time. And he misses those days so much that he littered his new job with constant reminders of it. You see? It's subtle, it's creative, and it tells us that Blitz has unfulfilled artistic dreams that he refuses to let go of. I can accept a little exposition if it's meant to be tongue-in-cheek, which this clearly is, but it goes a little too far in my opinion. Bottom line, if you're going to introduce characters and their interests, please do more of this and less of this. Overall, while I was more dazzled and impressed with Hazbin Hotel, I was definitely more entertained with Helluva Boss. I'm a sucker for slice of life shows as is, and I definitely had a lot of fun with this one. The characters are really endearing and unique, the comedy has a few clunkers but is easily elevated by other aspects, the premise allows for plenty of creative possibilities, and it's clear that effort was poured into every aspect of this pilot, like all of Vivzie's work. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, and certain things like the story and the structure could throw a few people off, but it's free to watch right now on Vivzie's channel, so I encourage you to do so to see if it's for you. Helluva Boss was definitely a hell of a good time, and I look forward to seeing more episodes of this, Hazbin, and whatever else Vivzie cooks up in the future. Also, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but that rough animatic deleted scene thing they got going on in the credits gave me massive Wander Over Yonder vibes. And if you know me, you know anything which reminds me of Wander Over Yonder is gonna get a thumbs up. And the fact that that scene is an adorable love song between Moxie and Millie, that boosts it to 2 thumbs up.
Of all the imps in hell, it's for her that I fell, oh Millie.
Of all the ways these imps could have killed me, they did it with cuteness.